Council Action. I'm Russell Inman, and joining us tonight from Ward 6 is Councilman Gerard Henke.
Good evening.
Good evening. Pleasure to have you here. Heck of a meeting we had tonight,
Yeah,
huh?
it was interesting. They usually are.
A lot of orange shirts in the audience tonight for public hearings.
Well, for the hearings from citizens,
hearings from citizens. My apologies.
There was a lot of people here. I think a good 15 or so spoke, and it's on our breed-specific legislation in Florissant. As you may or may not know, Florissant has breed-specific laws for dogs, and it's basically a ban on pit bulls, if you want to just simplify it. And there's a group of people tonight we're wanting to revisit that, to overturn those ordinances. I will say this: the people on both sides of this argument, the pit bull argument, if you will, are very passionate. And I understand both sides of the argument. All of us council people do. We've discussed it here and there. We've heard some very impassioned arguments for it and against it. We're going with what we're hearing from our constituents is what we're supposed to do. That's how we're elected. That's what we're supposed to do. So we're going by the majority. We may revisit this law, this ordinance in the city of Florissant, but at this time, there are no plans to revisit this ordinance in the city of Florissant. And I know there's a lot of people who don't like to hear that. But what we have to do is the will of the majority of the people, what we think is best for our city. And that's what we do. And sometimes the easiest thing to say as a councilman is yes. The hardest thing to say as a councilman is no.
Sure.
And we're going to walk down this path and look at all the situations, look at all the evidence given to us, digest it, mull over it, and come up with something. But like I said, at this time, there's no plans to reopen that ordinance.
Are we seeing other municipalities in our area kind of make new decisions or look at this?
We have not. I haven't personally seen them reopen it. We've seen a lot of people from other municipalities speak to us, which I understand their passion, I understand the group, but I want to hear from Florissant residents.
Sure.
I want to hear what my constituents have to say. I can be impassioned over any issue, but like I said, I want to hear from my people.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, it was an interesting part of the meeting.
Well, it was very interesting. I respect that. I respect them very much for what they do. They're very passionate, and they bring up many good points to the table.
We'll see if it ever comes back.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Well, another different piece for our agenda tonight. We had to have a moment of silence. It's been a heck of a week for the police officers in our country.
It's been a heck of a week for our country. It was amazing. People may or may not have noticed, but all the council members wore blue tonight. We all wore blue in support of all of our police, but particularly our police department. Florissant has one of the finest police departments in the country. I'm so proud of what our police department does. The outreach, the community outreach. There's a reason that Florissant's not in the middle of a lot of this stuff going on because of what a good job they do. Having said that, I understand the moment of silence was not just for our police department. It was for all the issues of the last couple of weeks. It's been very tragic. It's been very tragic for our country, for not just our community, our entire country. But we can't lose sight of the fact, I think it's critical that the police all over this country, not just in our community, the police are what we have tasked in every community in this country to maintain the order of that community, to maintain the will, the laws that community has enacted. Without any kind of without any police departments, it would be chaos. We'd be back in the Stone Age. It would make no sense. So I don't want to get on a soapbox here, which maybe I already have, but our police department is the backbone of the laws that we have enacted.
Let's talk about the public hearings tonight. The first one was a sign ordinance. We had an amendment here for the sign at Florissant Meadows Shopping Center. It's kind of an update. The CVS pharmacy is going in. There's a blank spot on the sign. They want to put CVS, and they also want to update that electronic reader board.
Right. The reader board on it is not going to be a full color. It was basically like just a streaming amber sign, and now it's going to be a full color sign that switches over, I think they said, every 9 seconds to represent all the tenants in there.
We're seeing more and more of those along Limerick.
Yeah, and there was a comment about that this evening also. But it's the business, how we do business these days. CVS is moving in there, which is a huge development. They want a prominent place on the sign. They've got one above, and they're updating the reader board to promote the businesses that are in there, which is exactly what we want to do. Every business in Florissant, we don't want to see them, we don't want to see vacant buildings. We want to see
Right.
them flourish.
So we had a public hearing on that tonight. There was another public hearing. This one revolved around Commerce Bank and some landscaping that they changed. I guess they really needed to bring this up because they operate under a special use permit for that
Correct.
property.
Actually, it was Commercial Bank on Washington Street.
Commercial Bank, I
Right.
apologize.
And I really, this one I thought was pretty interesting because they updated landscaping, which is great. They're making their place look better. But I was reading through the planning and zoning minutes, and they had to get it through quickly because they wanted to get this all updated, prettied up for the Valley of Flowers because it was on a parade route, and I thought that was a good steward for our community.
Right, good. Old business tonight, we had a special use permit to Jake Muir LLC. They do business as DC Liquors. This is to allow for a packaged liquor store in a B3 zoning district located at 39 Florissant Oak Shopping Center.
Yeah, Florissant Oaks. It was a liquor store, and they just transferred it. Used to keep it as a liquor store, but I think we had, if you remember at the hearing the last meeting, that maybe we're going to cut back the hours a little bit on it. It was till 1 in the morning. I think they're going to back it up a little bit, which I think is good, especially for a liquor store.
And the next one that passed tonight and with a second and third reading is the sign where the Starbucks is on Lindbergh near New Halls Ferry. They had to, the development kind of changed in a way where the sign had to move because of some utilities that were
Right,
underground.
right. The sign did have to move, and obviously Starbucks is a big development, which we once again love in our community. Anything that we can develop. So to work with Starbucks on moving their sign was a no-brainer. It's what you do.
Sure. Then we have ordinance amending 510, the minimum standards for dwelling units, and accessory buildings, commercial buildings, by amending section 510.020 and adding a new section 510.405 regarding the registration of vacant residential buildings. So this is what we just voted on.
Correct.
The city voted to bring in these minimum standards, these dwellings, dealing with vacancies, vacant properties, commercial and residential. What's the amendment now?
Okay, well, what we're doing, this all plays in with what we told the voters back last in November, what we were going to do with the rental fees, the licensing fees, and the vacant houses. As council people who are members, it's one of the number one things we hear about. Vacant houses, rundown houses, rowdy houses, bad, it's nothing that we want to keep in our city. So we're trying to keep a finger on it, put a lid on this and watch it more. It takes more resources of this city, meaning money, so we raise the fees. This city is not at war, and we want to be partners with our landlords. We want to develop and keep a good relationship with the landlords. We have them, but they have to understand, the landlords have to understand also in our community that these are properties that are their investments. We've heard it before from my good friends that are landlords. This is going to be their retirement or their investment. But these are neighborhoods. This is where we live. I say more power to you, but respect what we do.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's what these tie into. These ordinances tie into what the voters wanted, expressed us that they wanted, and in November on the ballot elections, the BA and R that were in November.
And so this next second reading, the ordinance amending Article XVII, residential rental real estate, amending Section 605 regarding real estate license fees. Those two are tying together.
They are tied in together. There's several different things, and there's going to be more stuff coming down the road because, like I said, the citizens have tasked us with this issue. The fees are increased, and they've increased greatly for the rentals, but that money we're hoping will go back more into code enforcement, back into improving these properties. And we're going to work with the landlords to develop a system where they understand what the city expects out of them, and hopefully it serves us all. If you own a piece of property that you rent, and you rent it in a neighborhood where the property values are maintained, there's your investment. If you're part of a reason that a property value goes down in an area, why would you do that to your own property? You're hurting yourself. So we're trying to develop this relationship that works for everybody, maintains our property values.
Next item of business was board appointments, then followed by requests. There was one request tonight. This is a transfer for a special use permit from Alexander Wong to Leo Lu, doing business as Lucky House Restaurant at 728 South New Florissant Road.
Yeah, right down on South, across from Fisher's there. Lucky House Restaurant. It just changed owners and special use. We're moving. Excuse me.
And then bill for first reading tonight. This dealt with the public hearing for the sign that involved the electronic reader board
Right.
and CVS Pharmacy. We had one reading on it
Right.
and one reading on the other public hearing, which revolved around Commercial Bank's landscaping plan.
Right.
And the request we just mentioned, that actually passed tonight in 3 votes.
Right,
which
because
we
it's-
don't see a lot, but it was just a transfer of ownership.
Right. Sometimes some things that we do require more scrutiny than others. This didn't require a lot of scrutiny. It was a Chinese restaurant, changing owners, a special use permit. Why throw any marbles on the floor? Let's
Right.
move forward.
Well, Gerard, tell me about this next one. This was postponed. I think the council will take it up later. But an ordinance amending section waste to be collected, providing additional penalties for failure to pay for solid waste collection.
This is what this deals with. In the city of Florissant, you must have trash service. We have a universal provider, and you must have trash service in the city of Florissant. We get a notice, the city gets a notice from the trash haulers, waste haulers, of who's not paying or who doesn't have trash service currently. So we're trying to beef up that to make people understand having trash service is not an option, okay? Because what we're finding in these places, a lot of times the people that do not have trash service, it's going back to some of the different things that we have, they're putting it in the basement. They're putting it in the garage. We're finding garages with stacks of trash in it, and stacks of trash in the basement. This is, which causes, you can imagine the problems that causes,
Sure.
rodents, things like that. So we're trying to beef up the ordinance to say, look, once again, I'm repeating myself, but trash service is not an option. You're going to have trash service, or you may not be able to live in this house. You have to prove it. If you don't, you may have to move.
Okay. And so with that being postponed, we're going to hear from that and
Yeah.
maybe by next meeting.
Which I'm sure we will.
And the last item tonight was an ordinance amending section 605, suspension and revocation to add additional grounds for the suspension or revocation of a residential rental license and to recover the cost for that reinstatement.
This all plays in, like I said, ties in. We don't want to fight with our landlords, but we expect them to do what the city requires of them to do. If we run into issues where we have landlords that are not willing to comply or not willing to take care of the properties as has been dictated by
revoke their
ordinance,
license.
we can revoke their license, and which is evidently their bread and butter. That's what they do. It sounds negative what we put forward here so far tonight. Trust me, it is not a negative. This is not the adversarial position. Is not what the city wants to be in. I'm going to reiterate: we want to be in a conjunction or comply with our. We want the landlords to understand what the city believes in, and we want them, landlords,
To buy into it.
To buy into it so that it serves, and like I said, I repeat myself, but it serves their purpose and it serves our purpose. You know, I put landscaping, I cut my grass, I put out flowers. I'm not expecting every landlord to do that because it is a rental property. I understand how that works. But I do expect them to take care of it. That rental house is in the middle of my neighborhood and everybody else is. And I'm not bashing people here. We all get with the program. We want Florissant to be what it is, you know, to what it can be.
And the more of them that stay kept up, that stay nice, the more the values will come up and demand a little bit higher rent.
It's self-serving, exactly. Yeah.
All right, well, that was it for the meeting. Council announcements, you know, we always hear about team food drive, the food pantry. It needs food, morning,
Right.
noon, and night.
Yeah, I've heard that several times. Yeah, that's right down on St. Catherine Street down here, and it's a worthy cause. Like I said, there's always people. In fact, the letter carriers just had their biggest food drive. The biggest food drive of the year is the letter carriers, and 100% of that went to the team food pantry. But it doesn't just have to be food. Financial donations are food at any time that you can. Always welcome.
And Florissant's having success with the Wednesday night outs, I hear.
Yeah, the last one was real good. It was right up here on St. Francis Street between Cordy's and Dooley's. There was also a dedication that night for the Dooley's Walk of Fame thing, and it was a hat night. The theme was hats, and it was pretty fun. They've been a lot of fun, and they're growing in popularity, I think, just looking at the numbers. I don't care how hokey it sounds. It's a community thing.
Yeah.
It's fun. You walk around, you have a hot dog, maybe beer, soda, and you meet your neighbors and wear this particular one goofy hats. Corny, maybe, but it's a sense of community.
And the last Wednesday night is the third Wednesday in July, right?
Yes.
And that's the movie
It's the
night.
movie night, I
at the
think. Yeah, the
Shrine.
movie night is going to be at the Shrine. Some kids' movie.
Yeah,
but
good.
family affair. But bring the kids down there and they set out a blanket. I mean, I remember as a kid, wasn't that long ago, right? But, but it was fun. It was things that you remember growing up.
And August 19th, the Friday night, that's going to be the food truck night.
Yeah. Also at the nights.
Good.
The food truck nights with a K.
Anything special going on in your ward?
Where do you start? I've seen a lot of people walking around, walking the neighborhood, jogging. The neighbors, walking the kids and everything, walking the dogs. And I like to see it. And it seems like such a simple thing. Get out there, wave to the guy walking down the street, go up, pet the dog. That's to me what a community is. The more people out there, I want this community always to be able to, you can go out on a walk at any time, morning, noon, or night, and feel safe in this community, and you know it's part of your neighborhood. It's important. It's important to me, and it's important to our community.
Agreed. All right. Well, Gerard, thank you for going through the agenda in a nice, easy fashion that our residents can watch and understand. We appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching. This has been Council Action. I'm Russell Inman. Look forward to seeing you next time.